Just the duo today.
Yeah, we're gonna have to try and,
It's not going to be as fun, is it?
no, it's gonna be a little different not having Ken here.
It is, but
Sorry about that, but we know Ken's trying to take some
he's
vacation.
trying to get some vacation days, so we may not see him
We
most
might-
of this
yeah,
month
we might
on
see him
Wednesdays.
One or
So,
two maybe, but maybe
yeah,
not, so.
yeah, exactly.
Well, good, all right, well,
Yeah.
wow, we had a great big thunderstorm this morning, didn't we?
Oh, we sure did. Oh, the lightning that came down too, and we had a little temporary no power issue that
that
we
was-
were a little worried about.
Yeah, especially since we were trying to do a board meeting, the twice-a-year board
Yes.
meeting, when you know it, was at 10:30 this morning. and
Right,
I
right.
thought Michelle was gonna have a heart attack when we had the power go out. I think she was actually in an elevator with Kevin Essex.
She was. She
trying to
got
get out
stuck
of
for
the
a
elevator.
second.
Last I heard, she climbed through the roof and got out through the roof of the elevator and climbed up to the first floor and then parted the doors with her hands and got out, right? Isn't that what I heard?
She's good.
Yeah. Now, only about the first second of that was the truth. The rest of it was not true. But
Right,
anyway,
right.
it's a good story. Anyway,
Yep.
So.
And just want to comment on the photo of the day. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. That was a picture of Brian and Gwen Jackson at the Grasshoppers game with their mascot. So that was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yep. Brian says thank you.
Brian's in the room. Brian is in the room. No, we don't have the mascot in here, or Gwen, but we do have Brian.
No, but it was a good picture.
Good picture. Well, Lisa, are we going to do a trivia
We
question
are.
today? Good.
Since we couldn't do it last week, we have a
Yes.
good one today. And this question is from Dick Witt, and he sent me a couple questions. So the next few weeks, you're going to have some good questions from him. So you're going to call Michelle at 336-389-4103 if you know the answer. And the prize, of course, we're back to our wine. This one is a red wine today, it looks like.
Redwood,
Yep,
yes.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
We don't have Ken here to pronounce that. Neither you or I are wine drinkers. So.
We are not, so that, but it looks
Sauvignon
red
Blanc.
to me.
Sauvignon
Yep,
Blanc. I think if you just say it fast, it sounds okay. Sauvignon Blanc. So,
I'm sure that's right. Oh, so the question is, who is the only U.S. president married in the White House? Who is the only U.S. president to get married in the White House?
yeah, I was going to say, there's been a lot of them that have been married in the White House.
So this president was single before,
When they were elected, right?
yes,
And they got married.
And they got
while in
married.
The White House.
well, in the White House.
It's pretty bad, but we got to explain it, isn't it?
It seemed like a pretty simple question to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll see. And
But Michelle's phone hasn't rung yet.
it
That's amazing.
hasn't. So 336-389-4103. So either this is a really hard question or nobody is watching us. I'm not sure.
Oh, she's walking out of the room. Maybe she's got one.
Okay, I think she has one.
Yeah, the neat thing is what Michelle was just saying, she's able to walk out of the room now. You know,
Right.
a lot of you know that she had surgery on her, it wasn't her big toe, it's the next one, whatever they call
Yep.
that toe next to it.
Yep.
And she was on that little hop-along scooter thing for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's off of it, and she's
Yep.
walking like a champ
Yep.
now. We're very happy
She
to
actually
see it,
has
Michelle.
tennis shoes on today. That's an improvement.
Oh, yeah.
So it's little by little.
No pins sticking out of that toe. I don't know
No.
what it was about that. It just, ugh.
It was weird.
It scared me every time
Yeah.
I saw it, you know. But now,
I was worried, what if we accidentally would hit it?
yeah, I know, or somebody pull it out or something. Yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
let's not get into that.
No.
Let's not get into that.
Okay, so I think she probably has a winner. She's left the building a couple
don't
times
know, but
now.
we think it's
so
possible.
we think so.
Okay, well, let's,
Heading to updates. We got to start there.
Yeah, I know, and we have to always start with COVID, and I don't know about the rest of you, I'm getting tired of COVID, to be quite honest
Yep.
with you, but we have to talk about it. So, you know, I did some looking at some of the statistics today. You know, it looks like we might be plateauing in some areas, which I'm hoping is the case. You know, I noticed that with the hospitalizations for the last week, we've been right around 3,800. And so, you know, I'm hoping that maybe that we're plateauing and we'll start to see that number go down. We were at 3,790 today. But, you know, last week I was also talking about it plateauing around 3,600, and then we just took another big hit. We took a big leap up another 200. So I don't know if we're plateauing or not. It seems that maybe I'm just putting too much hope into that, but we'll see. You know, I do know a couple positives are that the vaccination rates in the state and in the county are going up. They're not going up dramatically, but they're going up at least. Let's see, in the state, 61% of the adult population is fully vaccinated. That's up from 60 last week. And 67% of the adult population are vaccinated with at least one dose. That's up from 65% last week. So, you know, a little bit of a nice gain there. Guilford County, well, let's see, I've also got it, that's the adult population. So if we look at the total North Carolina population, remember there's about 10.5 million people in North Carolina. When you just look at just the North Carolina population, that's children included, we are at 51% are fully vaccinated. That was up from 50 last week. And 55% have at least one dose. That's up from 54 last week. Guilford went up as well. Guilford went from 52 to 53 fully vaccinated this week, and from 56 to 57 with one dose. So, you know, we just got to keep getting those numbers up. We've got to keep getting people vaccinated, and that'll help us a whole lot. You know, unfortunately, and this kind of bothered me a little bit, we had 426 deaths since last week. We know that this virus is a killer. I've been hearing a lot about people that get pneumonia with the virus, and when they get COVID with the pneumonia, boy, it's just doubly hard to get it, to overcome it. So, you know, that's not so great, obviously. And, but, you know, another positive was reported cases. That is trending down a little bit. So I'm hoping, again, that that's a good sign. You know, it's just hard to tell. Our 14-day per 100,000 residents statistic showing that Forsyth went up again this week, Guilford went up this week, but Mecklenburg County and Wake County both went down this week. So on the average, the 14-day average. So I'm kind of hoping that we're starting to see that as a trend, maybe kind of getting to the top of our spike period and moving down. It's just hard to tell. You know, everybody has a crystal ball. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what's going on. But and I think part of the problem we're having and seeing is, you know, schools have opened up, and we know that this particular one, the Delta variant, doesn't seem to discriminate as away from the kids like the original COVID did. The original COVID seemed kids didn't seem to be getting it as much. Boy, it's out there. School children are getting it. I saw a statistic one day where 25% of the cases right now of recent are school-age children that are getting it. So, you know, and some of that has to do with masks. Some of it has not to do with masks. Some of it has to just do with, I don't know. You know, the Delta variant is just more contagious, and we know that. So, you know, the best thing we can do is just when we're out in the public areas, wearing our masks. That'll help us. That'll help protect us. You know, having 98% of our residents vaccinated, having about 75% of our staff now vaccinated, that's going to help us here. We just got to keep working on it. We just got to keep going there. So, you know, and we've been talking about here, we did end up having, I think it was over the weekend, Lisa, we just put out notice. We had a resident that was positive in Pebble Beach. Fortunately, that resident is asymptomatic. If you're keeping count, I think that's our third resident that has been positive for COVID. 2 of those residents were asymptomatic. One of the residents wasn't, had an adverse reaction to the COVID. And then we've had various staff members that, you know, and it's almost hard to keep track of anymore because, you know, we have not a ton that have actually gotten the COVID virus, but a lot of them that are getting exposed to it. You know, whether it be through family members living in their homes with them or whatever. You know, we really haven't had a ton of people getting it more than it could be, especially if we're spiking or getting close to that top layer like we were back in December, January. You know, December, January was, to me, in some ways for us here was worse because we had a huge outbreak here, and we had a lot of residents.
And we didn't have the vaccines then.
We didn't have the vaccine. It was all unvaccinated.
Right.
It was right before we started getting the first dose, actually. And so, now it seems to be, well, there's one over here, or there's one over here. And, I think that's a good thing, honestly, because they're not running together with each other, and that they're coming from different sources. We've had a couple that have come from, most of them have come from family members that are giving it to the staff member or even a resident in one case themselves. So it's, we do a contact tracing with every one of the people that are positive here. We have a very thought out policy in regards to situational policy, which, okay, when was this person, if they're positive, are they vaccinated? There's just a whole criteria that we go through now when we are talking through this and figuring out how to do it. But contact tracing is very important at this point. And for the most part, it hasn't been too bad. We had that one situation where back in when was that? November, I guess it was, October or something, where we had to quarantine a ton of residents on the independent living side. We're just not having to do that, which is good, which is really good. But it's a pain, honestly, and we just never know where we're going to. I never know when I get a phone call at night or during the day. Okay, who's going to be next? Where's it going to come from? And it's non-discriminating. The other thing that I'll make a comment about is that at least I can't comment about the residents because the residents, all three of them have been vaccinated that have gotten it here. The staff members that have gotten it, we probably have had,
a mix.
It's not even, but we probably have a few more unvaccinated than vaccinated staff members that have gotten it. The thing that really, the telling story to me is that we have two staff members that end up having to go to the hospital because of it. What we're finding, of course, here is the unvaccinated staff members, and this is not surprising. The unvaccinated staff members, just like the unvaccinated population in the world, is having more of a difficulty with the symptoms from it. And so, again, that's why we get the vaccine, right? So that we hopefully, even if we do get COVID, our symptoms are less or non-existent, or worst case scenarios, it keeps us at least out of going to the hospital or or dying from it. And that was the main reason I took it. I know that's what most people, I think, are taking it because of that, the protection it provides. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there and just kind of move on. But, we're continuing to encourage our staff to get the vaccine. I know somewhere in here we've got this. I didn't even have a chance to look at the agenda before we came in here, but as we know, the president made a mandate a couple weeks ago about nursing homes and federal funding, and any nursing home that gets federal funding is going to have to require all of their staff to be vaccinated. And so we know that's coming. We haven't gotten the final ruling, regulation, whatever you want to call it yet, and we're waiting at this point until we get that before we put our plan into place. But the good news is, and you and I talked about this, when that announcement came out, we've had several staff members who on their own went ahead and decided, you know what, I think now's the time to go ahead and get it, and so they've gone ahead and gotten it. And so, we've seen a steady stream, the onesies and twosies of staff members getting it. And so
even some that we never thought
a couple staff members who
so
said they would never get it ever have gone ahead and decided to get it. And so, that's a good sign, I hope. I hope that we can get more of our staff members that are unvaccinated to think about it and hopefully decide to be able to do that. So, but, there'll be more information coming out about the president's mandate when we have more information. And right now, we're just doing kind of a waiting game at this point. And when I say we, I'm talking about also organizationally. None of our communities have made any mandates at this point. We're all going to be doing this, so Glen Eyre, Scotia Village, and even Friends Homes, we're all going to roll out our plan at the same time. So we're just waiting for the final ruling. All right, so is there anything else about COVID or vaccines? Oh, yeah, the booster clinic. So I still don't have any news on that. I've reached out to CVS. I'm waiting for a contact. I've got somebody to send me a contact for Walgreens that does these kinds of things, and so I'm going to try and get to Walgreens and see if they're willing to do it, if CVS won't. Obviously, I would love for CVS to come back in and do it like they did last time.
Right. That went so smooth.
But I need to make sure everybody understands this, that the reason it was so easy to get it done before is that CVS and Walgreens were both hired by the federal government to be administer the vaccines for the nursing homes across the country. And the federal government, to my knowledge, at this point, has not authorized the hiring of CVS and Walgreens to do that. And so I'm not so sure we're going to be able to drag CVS out to be able to do a vaccine clinic for us. I've got a call in and an email in to our contact from last time. I'm hoping that's going to be the case, but I don't know. So we're working on backup plans right now. We have our own pharmacy here that we use, which is Southern Pharmacy. So we're in talks with them about whether or not they could do something like this for us, which I would hope that they could. And then we got another backup plan after that if we can help it. Worst case scenario, and I hate to say this, and I hope it doesn't come to this, but it may be that residents are going to have to go on their own to get to either to their providers, or to their to the CVS or the Walgreens and do their walk-in clinics, and we'll just have to see how that works out. But we're going to do our best to try and get the clinic here. It'll be easier for our residents, certainly. I'd love to be able to do it for the staff as well. I do know that our pharmacy is going to take care of the healthcare residents so that we don't have to worry about trying to get them anywhere. So that part is good. Independent living residents, to me, is next on the list, and so we're working on that to see if we can get that done. So hopefully we'll have something for you. And remember, it's still the recommendation is that it needs to be 8 months, unless you're immunocompromised. It's 8 months after you've had the second shot. So we still got a little bit of time. I mean, we're working on it, but we still got a little bit of time. We're not until the middle of October is when we would be eligible to even get the second shot. And then, that leads me to another point. We got the Moderna the first time around. That was, everybody that got it here got the Moderna vaccine. And, what I'm hearing is we should be getting the Moderna third shot, or the booster shot should be for Moderna as well, for those that got it here. And the Moderna is, I'm hearing that the Moderna is a little harder to get now. And so, I think even Fauci said something about the Moderna and that it might be slow getting the Moderna out. So, we're going to take that into consideration as well. I really don't want to go try and switch to Pfizer for those that had the Moderna. I'm not so sure that makes a whole lot of sense for us. I think that we should stick with the Moderna. So that's going to be our game plan, is to try and get the Moderna and just find a company that's willing to come in and do the shots and give us our clinic. But more to come on that. I promise you we're working on that.
Okay, construction updates.
Yeah, so I just left the meeting on the balconies.
Yes.
And the work is being done on time, and the work's being done well. They're tearing the heck out of the lawn in the back, but that was to be expected. We knew that was probably going to happen. It's very soft back there, and the trucks they got to get in here are big trucks, and they're heavy trucks, and so we knew there was going to be some damage and tearing up of the croquet court and the putting green, and so we'll have that. We'll fix all that when the heavier construction stops. We can go ahead and start working on that and fixing that back up. And Scooters are obviously well aware of that. But for the balcony project, they're going to be working on the roof next week. They're also going to be working next week on and this is going to make some noise, they're going to tear up the top layer of the balcony on both sides of the living room. So, both sides that they're working on, they're going to be taking the top almost 4 inches off the top. So that means jackhammering. And so we're going to be listening to jackhammering all next week. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be, I don't know how long it's going to take them, but they're going to be jackhammering the top of that layer of that balcony off on both sides next week. So we're going to have some noise. So I'm just trying to give everybody a heads up.
Sure.
Enjoy this weekend, because it's going to be loud next week. And I do hope and think that we're almost done with that kind of phase. And then the rest of it after that will be starting to put up some of the, because they're almost dried in at this point. The roof will also be working on next week, and then they're going to be starting with some of the interior work after that. So They're still telling me they're projecting to be right around mid-November being done. Getting materials is really hard right now. There's not a lot of guarantees, but the good news is we've got most of the materials that we needed, so we're kind of beyond that point. I know that the Glen Air project is struggling a little bit with trying to get some of the materials they need, and anyway, so that's going well. The parking lot, we poured the sidewalk that needed to be put in. We got to get the parking lot inspected before we can open it, and so there was a couple things that were left on that list. The parking lot itself is done. The concrete the concrete sidewalk had to be poured. That's gotten poured. Scooter's got a little bit of landscaping to do in the parking lot before they'll approve it, and then we're going to get them to come out and approve it, and hopefully we can open up that parking lot here in the next couple weeks. Scooter's building is doing well. They're dried in there. You probably have seen most of that. They got some work going on the inside now. They got the door to hang. They got electrical work to do, so that's come along. Glen Eagles?
Glen Eagles is going great. We have both the billiards room and the living room done over there. And also, they started laying first floor carpet this week, and they are moving along so quick that they're going to actually start fourth floor tomorrow.
Oh, great.
So for folks that are in Glen Eagles, we did put out an announcement on CareEmerge just a few minutes ago. They're moving along just that much quicker, and they'll start fourth floor tomorrow. So that's awesome when things are actually faster than anticipated.
Yeah.
So we'll take that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. So we told them proceed. So that's exciting. It's starting to all come together over there. It's
Yeah, it is. And it's looking really good over
looking
there.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know we're all kind of construction weary at this point and ready for it to be done. Believe me, I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, but we're getting there. We're by Thanksgiving, I really think that we're going to be done with all of our projects. And quite honestly, there is nothing really huge on the horizon for us for the next couple years after this, for sure. So, and probably even longer. So, I think we'll all be very happy for a nice break from construction and renovation. But the community's going to look great. I mean, the cart pass, we're getting ready to start that as well next week.
Right?
Is it next week?
And communications coming out
About
later
that as
today
well.
about that as well.
Yeah, because we're going to be closing some of the holes down, and that's going to probably take us. We're going to go right up to Thanksgiving with getting that cart path thing done, depending on the weather. But that'll be great. To switch from the asphalt to the concrete cart pass will be super. Really, in a lot of ways, we're going to be done with a lot of the major stuff here that we've needed to do. The next thing on the horizon at some point, which is, I still think, several years away, we're going to have to start looking at roofing for our apartment buildings, maybe even for our cottages. I think we have 30-year shingle on our cottages and roofs, but, when we start getting it, and I know I'm thinking way out there at this point, because we're not even 20 years yet at this point, but we can start getting to 24, 25 years. We're going to have to really start looking at that and seeing when we're going to have to start replacing the shingle on the roofs. But we got a few years out for that. I think that's it. Did I miss any of the projects?
Nope, I think we're good with construction updates. I did have someone ask me about the balcony, if we realize there's still some leaking over in the dining room.
Oh,
And yes, because right now, nothing's really enclosed up there. So we are going to experience still some leaking. That is not a reflection of what will be in the future, hopefully. But because things are still open right now, you are going to see some of that. So we apologize for that. As soon as you walk on the water's edge, there is some little leaking area there. So it's just, that's temporary until they really can get everything enclosed up there.
Once we get dried in, we'll really have a chance to see. And I think we're still a couple weeks away from being dried in. So we're getting there fast, though.
Right.
So,
but when it rains, we could experience some of this.
Yeah.
So
hopefully
we won't have much rain for the next.
We got a lot of rain this morning.
We
that's
did.
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Looking at events, so we are trying to balance safety with quality of life. So that's the biggest thing that we're doing here. But there are some calls that we have to make, that maybe we have to downsize some events. Maybe we don't have refreshments at events that we normally would want to, things like that. So just want to, prepare people for that you might see some adjustments and things coming up. We did already put out the announcement about the Olympics. That came out, I believe, on Friday, that we are not going to be doing the traveling for the Olympics, but we are still going to have some competition, but it'll be more, each community will do it on site and then report scores back. So there's ways to kind of modify some things to
Yeah.
still have some fun.
Yeah.
Also, we are having a 9/11 Remembrance Service. It is the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. So we will be having a gathering at 11 a.m. on Friday, right out in the front parking lot area where the flag poles are. So that is an outdoor event, so we do feel comfortable with that getting folks together. But just want to put that out there for you. There's an announcement of that, and also I think a flyer that will be in your boxes for that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe it's been 20 years.
I know, it
since that
is.
happened.
Yep.
I know our residents that must feel the same way I do. It's just like, in some ways, it feels like it just happened yesterday.
Right.
It was 20 years
Right,
ago
20 years.
that happened. And, just sitting here thinking, we got servers in the dining room that weren't even born.
Yeah, you're right.
Before that
Right.
happened. So
Yeah,
you might have to explain to them what 9/11
Right,
is. I'm
that's
sure they
true.
probably know, but
Sure,
you never,
sure.
it's funny how
but
that
they
is.
didn't personally
They
experience.
weren't in personal
Right,
experience.
right.
That's right.
Yep.
Brian, who's sitting here, probably doesn't even know what that was. I mean, Brian
He
was
was in
in kindergarten. He probably
kindergarten.
wouldn't even know any. He probably doesn't even remember any of that. So.
No, no.
Although you got a good memory, Brian, you probably do remember that. Yeah.
Community safety. This, Homer had to put a plug in today. He
yeah.
said, just remember, stop at the stop signs. So we have a lot of pedestrians out there and things like that. So he did ask just to remind folks, even in golf carts, make sure you're stopping at the stop signs. I think it's gotten a lot better now that the lines, are marked, the crosswalks, all that helped.
I think it has.
So.
Yeah. But
It still happens.
We
Yeah.
get lazy. I mean,
We
I hate
do.
to say
We
it,
do.
we get lazy and comfortable, and
Yep.
I mean, even golf carts.
Oh, yeah.
I saw one of our staff members today that I was following behind in a golf cart, and they went right through a stop sign. I'm like,
I know. I know.
And I think people just don't think about it. They don't
Right.
see anybody.
Or they don't
that's
see anybody,
there,
that's
and
why. And they just
nobody's
go.
there, I'm fine, and just keep on
Right,
going. And
right.
no, I mean, that's not
Right.
what stop signs are.
It just
Stop
needs to
signs
be a
are
good
supposed to
habit that
stop
you
it.
stop at a stop sign.
Yeah.
So, even if people aren't there. Furl registration, that started today,
And
so
what's
that
furl,
was
Lisa?
Free University, River Landing.
Is it of or at? Jim, where are you? Jim Kalaki, where are you? Because I know he gives us a hard
Free
time.
University of River Landing.
Oh, Brian suggests you got it right.
That's my recollection. So, I always mess up of or at. I don't know why, but
Jim, you'll be happy she got it right.
yep. So that started today, so the sheets are out. I know we had tons of people already sign up, and the classes are tremendous.
Yeah, they
I was looking at them this morning in the Encompass, and it's amazing. I'd love to take some classes, but I probably can't. So I need to be working. So, but the sheets are out, so go sign up. Very, very good classes and good instructors. Okay, we have some temporary dining adjustments, Tom.
Yes.
That I want to just talk briefly about.
And they're minor adjustments.
They're very minor, and I also say temporary. So in the clubhouse, we have lower usage at lunchtime in the clubhouse. So to help us consolidate right now and just really to help staff it better at the moment, we are going to be using the pub during lunchtime. Instead of having both the pub and the Overlook restaurant open, for right now, we're just going to use the pub because we have plenty of seating in there for the usage that we have.
Right.
And also use the veranda too, because this time of year, it's beautiful out.
People are liking to use it,
We're
that's right.
seeing more people are using that, which is great. So for now, lunch times will be out of the pub, and you can dine from the Overlook menu or the pub menu. Since we're making this change, you can use both menus.
Yeah, that's important for people to understand. Just because we're consolidating people doesn't mean
Right.
we're only going to do the pub menu.
Right,
You
right.
can choose off
Choose
the
either
either
one.
menu at this point. So all we're doing is
Absolutely.
just trying to make it a little easy for our staffing. That's
Right,
all.
right. And one other minor adjustment, in the creamery, on Saturdays, we're going to be open until 3 p.m. So it will mirror what we currently have on Sundays, which is we're open till 3. So Saturday and Sunday now will be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Saturdays, we were open till 8, but for right now, we're going to mirror what we do on Sundays. So if you want your treat on a Saturday, go before 3 o'clock. That's the best
Come up for lunch
suggestion.
and get your ice cream right afterwards, right, or your coffee or
And
whatever
take it
you
home
get.
with you or whatever, whatever you'd like to do.
And at some point, when we get restaffed, I mean,
Right.
it's the best way to say that,
Right,
or
it is.
or additional staff, we can open that back up, we can go back to normal
Yep.
stuff, but
Yep.
we're just tweaking it right now, just to
Yep.
try and optimize our staffing.
Right. And some of it's just being related to exposures.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, that, it goes back to COVID again, we've
does.
just had more exposures, and we just are trying to be really careful with that and not expose other people. So some of it is related to that too. Okay, last week, Tom, we announced that we hired an HR director.
Yes, we did.
This week, we have another announcement
Yes.
related to HR.
So, so I think this is pretty neat. We, as part of our makeup for our HR department, we have a director, we have an assistant, and then we have a payroll specialist. And so I think you all know our HR director is got a dream job, so she's working for us part-time, but she's left us at this point from a full-time perspective. We've hired Vicki Spriggs. Vicki's going to be starting the 20th, so we're less than 2 weeks away from Vicki starting, which very excited about her coming down and being a part of our team. And we mentioned her last week. We also decided that we were going to change the position for the assistant position. We just really started looking at our HR department and how we could reformat it to really help us in light of the fact that, we're struggling getting staff right now.
Right.
And so there just was a feel that we needed to be able to bring somebody in who can help us with recruitment. So we were able to find a great person who is really good at recruitment that we have gotten from another organization. And so Andy Womack is her name, Womack, I can't remember exactly how she pronounced her last name, but Andy is her first name. And she is going to be starting with us on October 4th. And so we're going to have a recruitment specialist, we'll have an HR director, and we'll have a payroll specialist. And so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a great team. It's going to be very functional, and having somebody with boots on the ground, somebody, and Andy already has connections with Guilford Tech. She has connections with ECPI. She has connections with some of the local high schools. So she's already molded those connections, which will be huge for us for getting additional staff. So we're very excited about Andy joining our team.
Yep.
So, and Tiffany Martin, who is our payroll specialist, is kind of doing a yeoman's job right now. She's trying to hold the fort down for us until these new folks can kind of jump in, and she's getting some support. I mean, Sydney Sparing is kind of jumping in and helping her out. I think Brian's and Michelle and everybody's been kind of jumping in a little bit here and there to try and support her a little bit. But she's doing a great job keeping us going until we get our new people in. But I think it's going to be great. I really do.
Yeah,
I
I do too.
I think we got the recipe for long-term success with staffing.
And after our show last week, we've had several residents reach out to say they are sharing it with their churches and all that.
Yes.
So we appreciate all that help as well.
Absolutely, please,
So,
yeah. We'd be glad to send you a little flyer of our open positions if you want to send it to your churches.
Right.
Because fortunately, some of the churches have said they'd be very happy to help us promote some of the positions. And quite honestly, we have a good many positions that are open right now that we could use some help with. There is a bright spot to this. We started a new orientation class yesterday of some new staff members, and I'm really happy to tell you that we got 12 people that are part of that orientation. So 9 of which are actually nursing employees. So we need those folks coming in and helping out. A lot of our staff over there are working extra hours, covering extra shifts right now, so that we can keep providing the quality of care that we've gotten used to over there. But it's and I talked about this last week, moving the residents out of Wingfoot into the other households has helped us a lot from a staff consolidation standpoint. So getting some extra help in, some extra bodies in this week will really make a difference for us. And I think even next week, Lisa, we've got another 4 or 5 staff members that we've already got in the queue to go ahead and get through our orientation process. So it's really good to be able to try and get those folks coming in.
Okay, now we have a couple questions, unless you can think of any other updates that we may have missed, but I tried to capture them all. It was a
So-
long list.
Yeah. We have an update coming out about the clinic, I think, too. Is that correct?
We do still,
Working on that,
yep,
right?
yep, we're working with Wake on how we're gonna be managing some things
Yeah,
there.
so I know we're not quite ready to
Right,
prepare to talk
right.
about that yet, but,
Yep,
you know, again, this is just COVID-related stuff, trying to work past situations that come up. So we'll have an announcement coming
Right,
out about
right,
that
yep.
shortly here, but so you can be expecting that too.
okay, so some questions. Does River Landing require all residents, including new residents moving in, to be vaccinated? So this question, Tom, has come up over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I think, you know, there's more fear that comes with how do I interact with an unvaccinated person? So I get where they were coming from with this. But at this time, it's not a requirement for our residents.
No.
We serve both vaccinated and unvaccinated residents.
and quite honestly, we're contractually obligated to anybody that has already signed up to come onto the campus at this point.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, so we're not changing gears on that at this point.
Right,
You know,
right,
you know, quite honestly, we have a lot of staff members that aren't vaccinated at this point that residents are coming into contact with. I mean, you know, the reality is that, you know, residents you still have a choice. It's not been mandated that residents have to be
right,
vaccinated.
right.
And we have very few residents
Right.
that are not vaccinated at this point. Again, 98, almost 99% of our residents are vaccinated.
Right.
So,
And there are some medical reasons why people wouldn't even get vaccinated. So I
absolutely.
think we need to not forget that it's not always about just a choice someone's making. There could be also some medical conditions that a doctor has said, hey, I want you at this point to hold off on getting it. Because we have had some situations like that.
yeah, we do.
So-
Yeah, and the thing we can't have is we do not publicize who those residents
Right.
are.
That was the next question. Would you publicize?
Yeah, no, we're
Would
not
you
doing
tell
that.
us who's unvaccinated?
No,
And
we're not doing that. That's a right of privacy
right,
for them.
right,
And further beyond that, residents should not be going out of their way to try and expose residents that are not vaccinated. That's not the River Landing way here.
it's not. It's
It is not the River Landing way.
No. And we've gotten some disturbing reports of that, actually, of not treating unvaccinated people as good as we should be. That's not who we are as a community.
Yeah.
We should be treating anybody with respect, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated. That shouldn't be the reason how we treat somebody.
Well, and I think sometimes we forget, vaccinated residents can still carry COVID. They can still give it to other residents.
Absolutely.
Just as much as an unvaccinated person can.
Yeah.
So, you know, singling out unvaccinated people who may be being very careful in what they're
Right,
doing
right.
is not really the right thing to do. That's
Right.
you know, you're creating, I'm going to say it, it's creating a hostile environment.
Yeah.
And we are not doing that. We are not supporting that here
Yep,
at River Landing.
yep,
And that's not the way
absolutely.
we are here. And I hope we got a couple residents here and I'm looking at them, but you know, I hope that we as a resident body here do not support that.
Right.
And that we understand that, you know, there are reasons why residents don't get vaccinated and that should not be held against them.
Yeah.
And that we should not ostracize them.
Okay, let's see. One last question. Do you know when we will be having the flu vaccine clinic at River Landing? I'm interested in getting the high-dose flu shot. So last year, we struggled with getting supply. We were not able to actually have a vaccine clinic. We did it as doses came in. We would put up announcements, okay, we have 50 vaccines that came in, come to the clinic or come sign up for it. We also suggested folks to go out to their providers if they could get it somewhere else because the supply was just so hard last year.
Yeah.
So Wake is working on that already this year, so we're just waiting to hear if we're gonna be able to actually have a vaccine clinic, a flu vaccine clinic. So we're hopeful at this point.
Yeah.
We just don't have confirmation yet. So we're on the River Churns every Wednesday, so we'll just keep everybody updated on that as we get word in, so. But that
Yeah.
was a great question. I get the
And I think
question
there
about
was
that.
even a question, are we gonna do the flu vaccine at the same time that we do the booster? And that's still, both of those are just still too up in the air
Right,
for us to know
right.
that right
Yep.
now. So, but we'll do our best to try and make sure we can make those
Yep,
things happen.
absolutely. But just wanted to be able to address that for that person. Okay, we're down to the winner of the trivia.
Well, before we go there,
Yes,
I just want to say, I know I speak for Lisa and I, and really for the whole staff here, how appreciative we have been of the residents here. I quite honestly expected a little bit more pushback with some of the things that we've been doing to this point, trying to make hard decisions about moving residents in the healthcare center or just changing our operational structure here in order to best optimize our staff. And I was not worried, but concerned that we might get a lot of pushback from residents. And I have to admit, I misjudged our residents to some degree, because the amount of support we've gotten.
we've had nothing but support.
It has been amazing.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's very uplifting, quite honestly. And this is a tough time. This is a tough time to be associate director, executive director, making hard decisions for our community here. And the support of the residents has meant a lot to us. And I didn't want today to be done before I mentioned that how important that was to us. We had a resident council meeting yesterday, and I was just touched by the support coming from the council.
Absolutely.
And even some of the idea generations about what they could possibly do to help out with the situation.
Right.
And not just council, I've had other residents have come up and made suggestions to me as well. And so it's just really important for us to know. You don't know what that means to us as we go about our day, knowing that we've got the support of the residents behind us. So I'm looking out at all of you and just want to say, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being so supportive of us. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It means a lot. Okay, so now we can do the trivia.
Okay, the trivia. And thank you once again to Dick Witt for this question. Who is the only U.S. president to be married in the White House? To get married while in the White House. So
So do you all know the answer? No?
we have two people in our live studio audience. But they say they don't know the answer. Okay, so the answer is Grover Cleveland. Was that your answer? No? Okay. So the winner today, let's see.
It's a signed autographed picture of Grover Cleveland. Is that what? Oh, no, that's not the picture.
So the winner is Sue Brim. Congratulations.
Sue.
Yeah,
good.
that's awesome. So you win the bottle of wine, and I'm sure Brian will be bringing it to you.
Yeah.
Yes, Brian says he will bring it to you.
Brian likes getting into the golf cart, so.
As long as it's not raining, Brian will come. Right, Brian?
Yeah, I can take my car.
Okay, he's good. So he will deliver that to you. So thank you for playing along with us today.
That's red wine, isn't it?
It is red wine, yes. It's that. She didn't want to win it anyway. That's what the audience member's saying. It's the Cabernet, and we're not going to say the last name. It's a red wine.
Sauvignon.
Sauvignon. You just got to say it really quick, like Tom said. And then people won't know if you said it wrong. Oh.
All right, Lisa, I think we've given them enough
We
information for
have.
the week.
It was one of our shortest shows.
45 minutes, I know.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
See, it's Ken. Ken is the one that really elongates the show.
Wow, I can't believe you just dumped on our chaplain here, Lisa.
Well, he won't watch the show, so he won't know. Unless somebody out there tells him. Oh.
Well, thank you all for watching. We do love you very much, and if you have thoughts or suggestions about anything that's going on, we welcome them. We've got a lot of things going on right now that we're trying to take into consideration as we go through it. But I promise you, we're doing our best to make sure that you have a good quality of life, and still trying at the same time to keep it balanced with keeping you safe. And so, you know, we're hoping that we don't have to make any more changes at this point, and we don't have to push back. But I just want to warn everybody a little bit, depending on this mandate that's coming from the president, that could change things a little bit here. We might have to pull back on things depending on how that goes. And you know, we still have a good many staff members that are unvaccinated. We'll have to see how that works out from medical waivers and religious waivers, which we haven't even gotten into that yet. And we'll just have to see where we end up at. You know, I know of some communities that are already going that direction, not waiting for the final regulations, and a higher percentage of the unvaccinated folks are not choosing to get vaccinated, and so they're going to be without a job at some point. And I don't want to see that happen here. You know, whether you're a staff member that's been here a day or a staff member that's been here 20 years, you're important to us, and I sure hope and pray that we can get our folks will make that decision to get vaccinated and stay with us, because don't want to lose any one of them. Every single person that we have working here is important to us, and so we'll just keep trying and hope and pray.
Absolutely.
So. Okay, with that, we're gonna let you go. We love you. Have a great afternoon, and enjoy the cooler weather. It's actually 80, low 80s, high 70s.
It's good.
Getting to be around that good time of the year where it's gonna it's gonna be really nice to be outside. So enjoy the outside. All right, we love you. See ya.
Clear.